All right, and welcome back to another demonstration of the Doepfer A188-2 tapped BBD module. Last time, if you joined us, we were kind of going through some of the individual stages that this module can produce when you are creating an output mix of BBD signal. And kind of just got an idea about what the high stage sounds like, the low stage, the middle stage, and then a couple of the ones in between. But this time around, we're going to kind of actually mix and match some of the different stages together and see what kind of interesting effects that we can get from that. So to start out with, I kind of unplugged my audio in, so that's why we're not hearing any notes, just to do the little intro. My feedback is set to 0, and let me just make sure that all my dials here are set to 0. So I'm going to patch this in, and so there's our sound source coming in. Okay. And now let's just go right in and start adding in a few different stages. I'm going to keep, for now, output 2 right there as my original signal so we can kind of get a good mixture of the two. But I am going to start mixing and matching some of the stages here. So let's hear some of the positive component of 3328. There we go. Let's kind of come into the number 5. I think that's where I heard an interesting effect in the last demo. I'm going to bring it a little closer to 5 so my clock noise is not as noticeable. Okay, I kind of like that sound. So I have my 3328 stage at almost about the 3 o'clock position. Now let me bring in some of my 396, and just to kind of vary it, I'm going to bring in the negative component of that one. There we go. Okay. So it's fairly subtle. I'm not hearing too much of a pronounced effect. Now let's add in a little bit of 662, and we'll add it in the positive direction. Definitely a difference in sound there. So let's actually work in the opposite direction. Let's hear the original. I'm going to unpatch our affected mix. That's our original. And let's hear our affected mix with that. Okay, so we have kind of a basic mix going on here. Now let's go in and maybe add a little positive component of 1726. And some 2790. And let's go nuts, a little bit of 1194. All right. So now we have our basic mix of different stages going on here, coming out my mix out. And let's try adjusting the delay clock now a little bit. We'll go in the, let's see, the slower direction. Very nice, interesting kind of spacious type sounds coming in now. Let's bring our delay clock a little slower. And let's bring it all the way down. And at this point, if I wanted to kind of tighten it up a little bit, I could go in and maybe do a little more adjusting. So if I like that sound, I can kind of stick with it. Bring it a little slower. Okay, I kind of like that mixture right there. So let's bring feedback into the mix here, so to speak. Bring a little positive feedback in. A little more. Okay, right there, let's actually take out output 2. Very interesting type sound. At this point, if I'm just dealing with my affected signal and I like that, I can just keep that as a recording. I can kind of tweak it if I want to. Maybe bring the delay clock up a little bit. If I wanted to, I could bring the feedback up a little. I just kind of custom tailor it at this point to whatever I want. It's maybe a little too much feedback. I'm going to bring it back to the 0 position. Let's hear what the negative component sounds like. Let's bring back our original too, just so we can get a frame of reference going on. So at this point it almost sounds like a reverb, very spacious kind of hall type sound, however you want to think about it. Let's go all the way down to the lowest delay clock position. Let's just take the original out of the mix. So unrecognizable distortion, kind of grungy, almost electrical lines kind of sound. Kind of a quiet rumble. Bring my feedback up. About -3. I'm going to put the original back in. Okay, let's kind of move the delay clock in the opposite direction. And we're going to go to about maybe 7. Okay, so now I can kind of create a different mix if I want to. Maybe bring these back to 0. And then start all over again.